So, the Creator's Code, the one thing that I don't do is put Da Vinci's Code, is because obviously it's got the connotations of Dan Brown's version of the Da Vinci Code, which it's got its symbolism and it's got its meanings to it, but for the most part it's a fairy tale. There's not much else to it in that way. So it's the Creator's Code, and that's what we're going to get into through this entire presentation. What I didn't want to do is include a load of information that's in that book at the back there. The book that I'm releasing in September, this is the early format version of it. So this is about Roslyn Chapel, Music of the Spheres, which is what Lynn's just played for us there, basically is the Music of Universalis. So this is what the Sinclairs and that they've had all this information. Chances are they've got it because they are universal. They weren't just Christians or anything else, they went all around the world and they went carrying all this information with them. So for example, you see the pylons at Roslyn Chapel, they're basically like Meru towers, so it's based over Mount Meru. So this is what it's all about anyway. It's all about the Creator's Code and how it all plays out through geometry and numerology in a very synchronized form. So one of Da Vinci's famous quotes is learn how to see and realise that everything connects to everything else, and it couldn't be more true. So when people say to you, like, can you make these numbers up, and it's the most common thing people say, that you can see numbers in anything. All of these numbers come together, and once you realise what they all mean, you realise that everything is really connected through a code of creation. So that's what Da Vinci knew, and that's what all the symbolism is. It's what he's given us through the Metatronic cube, basically, or Saturn's cube. It's Saturn's hexagon that forms the hexagon cloud. So of course Saturn is Father Time, which is the main thing that controls this construct. This is what Michael's just trying to break down for you, just the time. So Da Vinci's knew everything was connected, and he's shown it in perfect form. So we start off with where we are. We're in the lodge, so we start off with the great architect. So it explains exactly what comes into fruition, I think. Created the universe after geometric and harmonic principles. So this is basically sums it up. The harmonics create the geometry. So the harmonics that are coming from the planets above, the celestial spheres, pronounced the Music of Universalis. This is what they're saying, what shapes this reality. And it's the geometer, the great architect, that is responsible for this. So it's not just a Freemasonry thing, the great architect. This is in, it's in Christian indoctrinations and things like that as well, that they try to teach, but they just try and spin it in different ways so we don't fall on the truth, basically. So the great architect of the universe, Gematria, is something I don't use that much unless it's really, really important and related to earth measure. So a lot of you who are on my Facebook pages, you might have other people who are talking about Gematria all the time. And I try and explain to them that they're not using it correctly, and if they're not using it in the form of geometry, it doesn't mean anything. That is when you're putting numbers together. So then obviously we have certain things where people just focus on the number 33, the magic number of Freemasonry, and so on and so forth. It's all surface stuff to me, I think. Unless you're going to dig deeper, they're not going to get the answers from it. So the 105 in Chaldean Gematria, very important with Da Vinci's coding, and it's because Da Vinci is born on April 15th. It's the 105th day of the year. So on that day we've had things like the Titanic sinking and the Hillsborough disaster, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on this day. All these type of events play out in geometric form. Now the Titanic and things like that, them sort of events show it perfectly. Obviously we can't just go into all them events today. So this is just a bit of writing to go through, just so you can have a little read while I'm talking. It's just the concept of what the architect actually is in different cultures. So obviously the Hermeticism, Hinduism, you all have all these different things, but it's all the same, we're all connected as one. And this is what they tried to do to us for so long, now, is keep us separated, segregated like they did in 2020, of course, as we know what the distance and everything else. They don't want us together, which is why it's really important that you all have turned up today. It means the world for me to have you here. So yeah, it's all creating, it's what it all is about. It's the creation, the story of creation. And the Bible is the biggest clue to it when you've got the story of creation through the book of Genesis. We'll break that down a little bit further, but that's what everything's based on. You walk into any church or cathedral or anything else, you're going to see all the symbolism, because they're all been built by the Masons, of course, that have done this brilliant architecture and produced all of this different geometry inside the buildings. So, as Lynn said earlier, they are built for these harmonic frequencies. It's exactly what they're built for. Giza was the same. So the symbolism in particular with Freemasonry, it's not fundamental as such. It's up to the person who's trying to perceive it. You know, it's up to you how you perceive it in your reality of what it means to you. It's not actually, this means that, black and white, and that's it, you're done. So you can take from it what you will. The star, the 5-pointed star, it's the pentagram, of course, or the Rose of Venus. And then we have the two pillars, probably the most famous, symbolism in Masonry. If you look at the back here, one's got the gold on the top, and then the other one's got the Pleiades and the moon on this side. A lot of the time you'll see it with the sun on one side, the moon on the other. Solomon's temple. Again, that's just the sky clock. Solomon's temple, the sun and the moon, they govern the stars above, kind of thing. That's what's given us our time, day and night. So all that type of symbolism, it's all coded within Freemasonry, and especially EQ. It's one of the basics, the structures for Freemasonry, with the foundation stone, the cornerstone. It's literally the beginning of it for it. But the one I want to speak about is the G. So I know a lot of people, well, I've spoken to Freemasons myself. I was over at the Grand Lodge of Scotland, Grand Lodge of London, and I always ask what it means to them in their perception of it. So of course we have God, where you've got Genesis, and you've got geometry and all these sorts of obvious things, and it could be multi-dimensional. It could easily be multi-dimensional. It could mean all of them, or maybe something encompasses all of it. And for me, it's the speed of sound. So the speed of sound that governs this reality. So we've got the speed of sound is in iron, speed of sound in water, and speed of sound in air. So in water, it's 1,480 meters per second. In iron, it's 5,120 meters per second, and in air, it's 343 meters per second. Now, all them numbers mean something to me in my research. They're all really important numbers. So, for example, Sistine Chapel has got 343 characters on the top, on the ceiling. And that is your 7 by 7 by 7, 343. So 777 is, well, it's God's number, the G. So it's the balance, the equilibrium. So it's bringing everything together. Balance in everything is key. It doesn't matter what it is, what we're doing in life. Balance is key in everything. Otherwise, we're not going to be, it's not going to work out. So then with the Mason, it's the sonic speed of sound, and that clue, I spoke about this on my page, so you might have seen it. The clue is in that sonic, it's Masonic. So everything to do with what they've started as originally comes down to sound. Sound is what basically it constructs this. Everything that we see, that we envision, everything we can feel, it's all being made from this sound, from the construct of the musical universe, or as Steve would put it. So the frequency, again, it's all referred to as a pitch, and this is all musical terms. So people would have seen the work that was done with the Roslin motet over on down at the chapel. So it was all done, that was creating all these frequencies from the somatics. So somatics means wave, that's what somatics means, it's sound wave. And again, sonic, so you know, Sonic the Hedgehog means collecting the rings and the gemstones and all that type of stuff. All these symbolism, it's all there. So it's noise and sound, that's the bottom line of vibration, really, is where we come from. So this is what I'm focused on at the minute, musical note G. Now, for Freemasonry, it's got to be top of the mark for them, for people who are actually understanding what this is. So what we've got is G5, 783.991 Hertz. So the Schumann resonance is 7.83 Hertz. It's exactly the same as G5. Now that's very important to Mona's coding as a whole. So Mona Lisa, Da Vinci, it's all Florence, so it's flora. It's all about nature. It's all about flora and fauna. That was what was key to their research. They went into the advancements in the ages that we're losing, everything kind of thing that we're in now. We're losing nature, it's being taken from us in every sense. They're building everywhere they possibly can, and we're losing it. But it's the Schumann resonance and the frequencies, it's Earth's heartbeat. So this Schumann resonance is the most key thing in this decode, really, with the musical note G. So when the Twin Towers come down, as we've got the Twin Towers at the back there, it was a very symbolic moment when that come down. Now a lot of people presumed that they were kind of on a tune and fork frequencies. So 9/11 is where we get the 156 prime, 156. So 9/11 took place 15 weeks, 6 days to the end of the year, or 111 days. So when they brought the towers down, whichever way it went about it in this construct, can't really, you can't follow the news, can we, obviously, because we know they're not telling us the truth on it. But it was a big moment in time in 2001. Now we have 19-year cycles, and we go 19 years forward, we come to 2020, to the next major event that started to shape reality. So of course, from the 9/11 attacks, we got all the racism coming into play and everything else. And this is where they're shaping reality through the mindset. So it's basically promoting racism, promoting this, and they're trying to alter the mindset to try and shape this reality, basically. If they can shape, they know that we're our own creators, so they know that if we're having negative thoughts, that we're going to create a negative reality. So this is why you don't have positive news on the channels, do you? So why don't, there's plenty of good things happening in the world, so why is there not one single positive news channel? It makes absolutely no sense. That's just spreading positivity. It's all negative stuff. It's because they want us to think negatively. They want us to play ourselves down. So it's the same as when you're telling yourself that you're not good enough for this, you're not good enough for this job, you're not good enough, you don't look good enough, you're telling yourself all this negative energy all the time. And on a cellular level, that's going to be no good for us. We're basically our own worst enemies in that way. So as Lynn said before, when she's playing this, they regenerate cells. That's why they be using them sound frequencies. They will regenerate the cells. So with that type of thing, then it plays a part in aging. So it stops the aging process and everything else. And this is where you start to look back in time, and they were talking about, is it just myth where they've lived longer and everything else? But have they? If they can regenerate the cells and they can regenerate organs or anything else, keep the skin healthy, why wouldn't they be able to live? It's possible. So the Kaaba cube in Mecca, that's also washed down with rose water. They do that to preserve it. So again, rose water is something that replenishes the cells, it helps with cellulite and things like that, and gets things going in that kind of way. So the rose in particular, obviously been in Roslyn, so the rose in particular has been an important part of my research. But yeah, musical note G, so it goes in line with the human resonance, and it's Earth's heartbeat. So since 2020, Earth's been getting battered with big corona mass ejections, which is big lightning strikes. We're getting storms all over the place, and some of you might have seen the green skies lighting up everywhere, and it's from the top of the country right the way down to the bottom. People have been getting these corona mass ejections. So in 2019, December 2019, when they actually announced COVID, that was when solar cycle 25 started. And it's a powerful solar cycle, very powerful. So what we're getting battered with now is all the ions coming in from these CMEs. And it's starting to ignite humanity again. Hence why you're all sat here now, fishing for this information and actually interested in it, which is something people haven't been interested in for God knows how long. But now we're finally here and it's actually taking place. It's a revelation of information, and it's something that we've been waiting for how long now. So people talk about this revelation in the Bible. It's the period that we're going through, and it's moving into a new age. So I know you asked before at the back, you asked about where we were going and things, what will happen. That's where it's headed to, it's the new age. So they're bringing in Aquarius. There was a lot of work done over in Glastonbury on this. So with the Glastonbury Zodiac and things, they were looking forward to the new age. They were all bringing it in and waiting for it to come, and that's where we've come up to. So it doesn't necessarily mean all destruction and all negativity. It could be the greatest awakening ever, where people just click and eventually people are coming together again. And obviously the one bottom line but all is love. That's the one thing that does it. It's the heart. It's the same with the earth. It's the earth's heartbeat. So because we're so connected on the micro to the macro and so back and forth, because we're like that, we're in this constant beat with the earth. So if the earth's suffering, we're suffering, and it's that simple. That's exactly all it is. So Tesla was working on this type of stuff as well. This was Tesla's work. So it's the Tesla globe. Obviously, all the kids love it. I used to love it when I was a kid. I was fascinated by it. Over in Edinburgh, they've got the World of Illusions. You might have been there. So when you get to the very end of the World of Illusions, it's just one picture and it says for Da Vinci. So they knew exactly what his work was about, and it was something that I started to click onto quite early on in my research. Was all the light coding and the light illusions that Da Vinci was trying to show in his work. But this is what Tesla was doing anyway. Tesla was working through all this type of thing, and he was trying to harness the energy, Earth's ether. So when you see in these spires, all the RF spheres, the piercing the ether, harnessing the energy, drawing it into these churches, into the chapels, that's what they've been trying to do. And Michael mentioned before about when the Templars started to come through, they started to come through to Britain. We started to see the rise of all these cathedrals and chapels. The one important one was Glastonbury Abbey, was the most important one to them. So in 1184, the Knights Templar left Jerusalem, Temple Mount, and they come over to London, the Temple Church, settled in London. So that very same year, when they arrived over here, Glastonbury Abbey was torched, burnt to the ground. And then 7 years later, the story of King Arthur's tomb would appear over in Glastonbury Abbey. So the year that they give for it is 1191. So 1119 is a number that's associated with the Knights Templar as their official founding date, the official date they were established. They were actually established the year before that, in 1118. But these two sets of numbers kind of play a governing role in everything that plays a part in this construct. So musical notes, the fundamental frequency. The 1566, like I said, this is part of the 156 prime number is 911. So this is used a lot. And Mona Lisa herself was born on 15th of the 6th, 15th of June. Her painting was created between 1503 and 1506. This is trying to show this exact coding of what it is, which will make more sense as we get through. Three pillar symbolism. So again, this is all about creation. This is what the Kabbalah tree of life is. And it has all these negative connotations put towards it, but all it is creation. And it's bringing from spirit to matter. That's all it is. Keith to Malkuth and straight down. That's all it is. We're using them, and obviously they come through the nodes and everything else. And it's a lot deeper Kabbalah. If you wanted to study, you could. But it's just all about creation, and it's about that lightning flash, the flaming sword. But the three pillars. Very, very important. So in 9/11, as you probably know, the two towers come down, but also World Trade Center 7 come down. So there's the 777 equilibrium. So we've got three pillar symbolism. You end up with a 666, 777, 888. They're your three pillars. So you only have to go down to the chapel to find three pillars. You have the journeyman, and then you have the master and the apprentice pillar. It's exactly the same things, the pillars of Kabbalah. Pillars of creation is what it is. So obviously you would have, a lot of you, or if not all of you, would have seen the design work and the dragon lines that run along the bottom of the pillars and things. With them being the Norsemen, the Sinclairs being Norsemen, very important symbolism, the dragon lines, and we'll get into it a bit further on. With the Kabbalah tree of life, it's no different than the staff of Hermes, really. The caduceus, where the wings are spreading once you reach enlightenment. So you spread your wings, you fly free. Maybe this is why Freemasons are Freemasons. Maybe they're free from this construct. Maybe they understand this information. So if we can understand it, and it is a construct, it's a matrix, then we're locked into that matrix, and there's a way out of that matrix. So obviously the Buddhists and that will talk about this as well, but they do samsara to nirvana. They were trying to escape samsara, they were trying to reach nirvana, they were trying to reach that golden age, that enlightenment, so they could escape this material construct. They wanted to go back to the spirit world. So what it's all about. Instead of being reborn, obviously there's a story of reincarnation and everything else very relevant to the Egyptians, but we're trying to get free from the construct. With this material world, they see it as the world of pain and suffering, which does make a lot of sense. It's what we go through. It's like a learning curve, this life that we're living. We're just learning all the time. So one of the most important three pillar symbolism is at the Kaaba in Mecca. So now them three pillars there, that'll basically holding up the cube, they're showing the three pillars of this construct, basically. You have the same story where they show Hercules and things like that, or Samson in particular. Samson with his two pillars, Samson's an anagram of Mason. So obviously you can see with the Bible, you can see how Freemasons played the role in creating, especially the later editions of the Bible. They would have took all this from the Torah. Now I can say that for a fact because I know the Sinclairs did. Early research that I've done on the Sinclairs has shown that they were focused on the Torah, hugely focused on the Torah. So with the Hindus, they have their Trinity is the Trimurti. So it's no different to the three pillars. It's always the same thing, and it's all based on energy, is what it comes down to. So when talking about sound or vibration, of course, it's one of the most important ones. And it's the sound of creation is what it is. It's the hum. Well, they say it's the hum of the sun. Some people say. In a geometric form, it creates the Sri Ansha chakra. That vibration is supposed to create that. Now, because it's a story of creation, it's from the fractal expansion of that Big Bang, from the 0 point of time. That's what the Sri Ansha is showing, and we'll get into that in a minute. So the three pillars for for the Hindus are Brahma, which we would see later come to light as Abraham later on. So Abraham, a man without Brahma is Abraham, which means a man without spirit, basically. So you can see how it's all been twisted for Abraham's story as well. I think his Brahma was supposed to have, I think his wife is Sarai or something like that, and Abraham's is exactly the same. It's all the same story. So it's been changed over time. So the great architect as well, 305, it's exactly the same. So when you look at the arm symbol, you notice it actually looks like a 35 as well. So the gematria that they're using is because it's words. So obviously words carry the vibration. So this is why the Bible starts with the word of Jesus, who's carrying the word of God. It's all the word, and it's because it's the vibration you feel when you're speaking. So this is why people practice the arm, which I'm not very good at myself, but it works for some. So these are the three pillars that I've talked about. We've got the 777. This is an RGB hex code. It's a light coding. These are the light codings that are coded in everywhere that you go, in every church, every cathedral. What you'll notice is they have red, green and blue in the churches. Keep your eyes out for them, because that is when they're using these divine light codes. So they've had these codings for thousands of years, because it's the same codings that are being used at Giza and specifically at Glastonbury Tour as well, which I'll get into a little bit. So the three pillars, we've got 666, severity. To the Hindus that would be Shiva, the destroyer. 777 would be Vishnu, the preserver, and then the 888 would be Brahma, with the pillar of mercy, the creator.